we're doing 2.4 solving proportions, okay? And solving proportions is going to get us basically set up to deal with similar triangles, okay? You might have dealt with proportions before in grade 9 when we were talking about some sorts of measurement. You're going to deal with it in everyday life with cooking or baking, and also with other things such as construction. If a bag of concrete tells you to mix 2 to 3 cement to water, you're going to have to do these things. So proportions are very important. So the definition of a proportion is an equation that results in two ratios, that are equal. Okay, so two things are going to be equal, or two different, like one thing will be equal to another, and basically it's another way of writing the same thing. So it's a set of equivalent ratios. So 3/4 is the same as 6/8. So you'll notice a lot of the time with equivalent ratios or proportions that it's just we're going to have one form that's in lowest terms and another that's not. So we've dealt with this before in Unit 1, but we're going to continue to do with this in Unit 2, okay? Now, in this case, I'm going to show you the examples because I think it's going to really help you with just understanding what we got to do. So our job is to get a equivalent ratio of 1/3. And in this case, they've given us some blanks. So we know that the top number is 2. So our job is to figure out how can we get the top number, which is 1, to become 2. So, well, we know we just multiply 1 by 2, and that will equal 2. And whatever we do to the top or the bottom, we have to do to the other. So in this case, to make an equivalent ratio, I'd have to multiply 3 by 2, and 3 by 2 equaling 6. So 2/6 is equal to 1/3. So they are equivalent or the same ratio. Now for the next one, we have 2/7 is equal to 10 over blank. Well, we need to figure out how we get 2 to equal 10. You could easily do that by just dividing 10 by 2. That can help out with that as well. Or if you can do quick math in your head, so 2 times 5 would get us 10. And whatever we do to the top, we must do to the bottom. So 7 times 5 is equal to 35. So 2/7 is the same as 10/35. So we're just dealing with equal ratios or proportions. Now in this case, we have the number on the bottom, and there's no issue with that. We continue to work with this, but 4 is equal to blank. 4/5 is equal to blank over 20. So I can do the second method I showed you, which is divide that 20 by 5, which would give you 4. So we know we need to multiply 5 by 4. And then whatever we do to the bottom, we must do to the top. So it'd be 4 times 4, giving us 16 out of 20. So 4/5 is the exact same ratio as 16/20. And you'll notice that 16/20 in lowest terms is just 4/5. So a lot of the time you'll see that, guys. So I'll give you a second to get that down. All right, so now we're going to deal with a little bit of a harder concept here, but it's solving proportions. So no longer we're not worrying about equal proportions, we're worrying about solving proportions. And typically that means we're going to solve for a variable, and then from that we will know what it is. So our job here is to write the ratios in fraction form if necessary, cross multiply, and I'll show you what cross multiply means, and then solve for the missing term. So our example says solve for the missing term. Our missing term in the first one is A. We know that we need to find A because that's the only letter there. It's the only variable we have. Now, cross multiplication is when you take the bottom number, and remember that, guys, if I have a fraction, let's just say like that. If I want to, and I said had like t over 2, if I want to figure out what t is, I want to get 2 to the other side. And since it's division on this side, if I move it to the other side, it becomes multiplication. So it'd be 3 times 2 equals t, or t divided by 2 equals 3. But if I want t by itself, I move it over to get t is equal to 6. So the same thing kind of applies here. So in this case, I'm dividing a by 3, so I'm going to move it over here. And since I have a fraction on the other side, I'm actually going to move this over to where the a is. And since it's division, or at the bottom of both, it becomes multiplication when it goes across the equal sign. So the 12 goes over to the a, so it'd be 12a, is equal to 8 times 3. So in this case, 12a is equal to 24. And we know if we want to get a by itself, we got to divide it by 12, or both sides by 12, which is going to give us the answer of 2. So a is equal to 2. All they asked was find the missing term. If they asked the missing proportion, it would just be 2 over 3 is equal to 8 over 12. Okay? Does anyone have any questions about that? Kind of following along there? Okay, so last one. Can someone help me? It says 4 colon 7 equals 12 colon n. What would be our first step we need to do? First step we need to do. Can you either write in the chat or raise a hand or go on your mic? First step. What's it say? What's the first step it says? That's the second one, Cheyenne, but thank you. What's the first step say we need to do? Thank you. So exactly, we need to put it in fraction form. So this is going to become this. Always put the first number on top and the second one on the bottom. So we were actually given in the chat the answer of cross it or cross multiply. That would be our next step. So in this case, that 3 is going to come up there, and that n is going to come over here. So it would then end up being 4n is equal to 12 times 3. Okay, so 4n then would be equal to 36. How do I get n by itself there? What do I need to do to both sides? Yeah, go for it, Ashley. Boom. And someone else want to give us our answer? Thank you. Awesome. Appreciate that. Nice and quick. So n is equal to 9. So guys, that's just how we do that. We make sure we set it up in a fraction first. We cross multiply. And then as always, if we've got those letters in any of our equations, we call them variables. We try to solve those as quick and as efficient